Alrighty, this is just a conversation number 27, and it also happens to be my birthday, and so I have woken up into my 52nd year. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, half a century and a bit. So I think that gives me some street cred, don't you? So I woke up this morning after having this fantastic dream where I discovered that I had superpowers, and one of those superpowers was that I could fly. And so a lot of the dream was me practicing flying, and also having to kind of move through this feeling of doubt, or not trusting that the air would hold me, or not trusting in my own ability. And so yeah, it was fun coming to realize that, oh no, I can just direct my mind, and then I can speed up, I can change direction. So it was kind of like being in water, but a lot more free, but light, you know. Yeah, of course, I was in the air, but if I had to kind of make some kind of analogy, it was like being in water but air. So have you had dreams like that? Have you ever dreamt you've been able to fly, or is that a regular thing? Do you often dream that? Because for me, it's not that common. I only had one other dream where it was more like a segue, where there was like maybe a foot or 2 feet between me and the ground, and I was able to kind of put air, inflate the skin suit, and then lean forward like a Segway and just kind of like move faster, and it was pretty zippy, it was pretty fun, but I don't have any recollection of having a full flying experience in my dream. But so I shared this with a couple of friends, and one of them said, "Oh, you should you should try flying at high speed. It's really really fun." So yeah, so maybe tonight I will set the intention to have a repeat performance, because that was pretty cool. That was very fun. Yeah, so I woke up feeling good. I felt feeling great. I'm working on my knee, as you know, and so I'm doing regular stretches for that. And so then I went ahead and did that, and then I saw, gave some treatments this morning, and I'm actually at my friend's house now, taking care of their little puppy. She's not really a puppy, but she's so sweet. And then I'm going to have some friends over for portobello mushroom burgers and a little potluck. So yeah, so it's going to be a good day. And it's gorgeous out, as you can see. It's warm. I'm in a summer dress because it's so warm out. It's I think this is actually the warmest day it's ever been on my birthday. Sometimes it's hit or miss. I've had some good days, 27 degrees Celsius, which is what, like 77 degrees Fahrenheit, around there, 78. But today's in the 80s for sure. Almost 30 degrees Celsius for people who are watching and who know Celsius, which I know best. All right, so it is my 52nd birthday, and so I'm just going to add those two numbers together, and number 7. Yeah, I wonder if I'm going through a shift. You know how we go through cycles? Part of our evolutionary process is cyclical. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to share 7 little, I don't know, Auntie Andrea advices from my, now mature point of view on still though how to stay youthful and vital and strong, and ideally not look your age is what I'm getting at. Okay, so number 1, do you want to hear it? Yes, you do. Number one is moisturize. And I actually got this habit in my early 20s when I was living in Japan. I was actually just for a short while dating a guy who was Taiwanese, and he was very much about that, and he would buy these very expensive face creams, brand name face creams, which I found the scents quite confronting, overpowering. And the ingredient listing was, like the length of your arm, like 50 ingredients in these things. So I don't necessarily recommend that, but what I use on my face is simple oils, jojoba oil, even a hemp oil if you don't mind that scent. Even an olive oil, honestly. Coconut oil you could use. So I use some kind of oil, and then I use shea butter. And so the shea butter that I use is a golden shea, and I just mix that. So I kind of, shea butter is very, very thick, so I mix in some castor oil and some essential oils. So that's what I use. But anyway, the number one is moisturizing your face, moisturizing your skin. Your skin is an organ, so you want to make sure that it is nicely protected and moisturized. And shea butter actually is also a natural, especially the golden shea, is a natural sunscreen. And so this brings me to number two. I actually don't overuse sunscreen. It's not to say I don't use sunscreen, but I don't overuse it. So I generally try to prepare my skin for the summer season by spending time out in the sun in the early morning hours or in the late evening hours, getting that sun exposure to prepare my skin. And then I make sure that I moisturize my skin very well after being in the sun. And and then the sunscreen that I do use has very few ingredients in it, and it certainly isn't any of the sunscreens that has that brightly colored packaging. Banana boats or whatever. I don't use any of those. Anything that has a strong smell, I don't use any of that. So that's advice number two. Read your labels for whatever you're putting in and on your body. That's a bonus. That's inherent in number one and number two. So let's see. Okay, number three. My number three would be hydrate well when you wake up. So I drink about 2 16-ounce glasses of water when I wake up, and then that's even supplemented with a herbal tea or a green tea. And so I make sure that I'm very well hydrated even before I have breakfast. And that helps just flushing, because your body has spent the evening doing its flushing work, and so you want to help the body flush. Sometimes I might have hot water with the juice of half a fresh lemon. I might do that. Sometimes I might add apple cider vinegar in that as well. But for the most part, number three is hydrating well in the morning. Your skin wants to be nice and hydrated. So that is number three. Let's see, number four. Okay, I didn't prepare these, by the way. I'm just, on the fly. I'm winging it. Okay, now I even forgot what number I'm up to. 4. All right, so number 4. Morning movement, or some kind of daily movement routine. So I have always done some kind of movement routine since I was in high school, and I watched Terminator, and I saw Linda Hamilton doing her pull-ups, and I thought, wow, those arms look amazing. And so I promptly got my stepmom's 1960s calisthenics little do-it-yourself book, and I put together this routine, and that carried me through university, living in Japan in a tiny apartment. I still did it then. And then in the last few years, it's mostly been a practice called Lujong and the 5 Tibetan rites, maybe supplemented with some sun salutations. But since I tweaked my knee, it's my morning routine. It's about 90 minutes, has been mostly about strengthening the muscles and supporting the tendons and the cartilage in my knee and my leg in general, just like building up the quads and the hamstrings and things like that. stretching the calves. So, but yesterday I went back. I started to do some sun salutations, and as I was coming into plank, my knee, I felt my knee pop a little bit, click a bit, in a good way, and it actually created a little bit more space because I was in New York City yesterday with my friend and doing quite a bit of walking. So so number 4 is a morning or daily movement routine. So that would be number 4. So number 5, let's see, steer away from junk food. Just don't eat junk food. No McDonald's. Gross. No Burger King, Hungry Jack's if you're in Australia. No like saturated fried food like Kentucky Fried Chicken. No. No, steer well away from all of that, and no soft drink / soda. A lot of those soda makers add an ingredient, or it includes an ingredient called aspartame, and that's a toxin to us. And the sugar content, I mean, it's not food, and it's not proper liquid. So if you can, I would highly recommend, this is my invitation, is to not participate in that anymore. Okay, so that's number 5. All right, number 6, actually no, as an adjunct to number 5, keep when you are eating your good food, keep your stomach only 3/4 full. Leave a quarter of it empty. And this actually isn't from me. This is from having done 10-day Vipassana retreats, and that's something that Goenkaji says. He advises the retreat participants to, despite your tendency or your desire to want to like stuff yourself because you've worked so hard, try to refrain from doing that. Nobody listens on the first and second day. Everybody's like, but by the end, you're living on, 1 meal a day, living on air, the tea, because there's so much energy that's just moving through you. But you do need, anyway, it's a process. So tied into number 5 is leave your stomach a quarter empty. Don't overstuff your stomach. Let your stomach have some space. And stomach actually influences skin. So a congested stomach can reveal itself in the skin. I noticed actually I was having dairy a form of dairy that I don't usually eat, and I noticed immediately my skin started to change. Little bumps were coming up and on my chest and so on. So your skin reflects the food that you're eating pretty much within 24 hours. And then it takes about 2 weeks for it to clear and heal, but hydrating very well in the morning will help with that. Okay, number 6. Don't keep your stress. That would be number 6. Don't keep your stress. Of course, life gives us things that we don't want, we don't like, we don't expect. Of course, people say stuff we don't like, we don't want, we didn't expect, of course. But as quickly as it happens, it's over. And so just don't keep it. Do whatever it takes to not keep it, because after the fact, it becomes the poison that you drink, and stress is toxic. Stress releases toxic hormones, and if you're not flushing it, if you're not moving it, so do whatever. Talk to a good friend, get it out on paper, ask God to join you and bear witness, hand it over, ask your favorite saint or angel or ancestor who's passed away to sit with you and use your imagination as the bridge. Use your faith, use your memory as a bridge to just connect with something outside of yourself who can bear witness and kind of kick your mind into a different perspective, but also create the space to just hand it over, because if it doesn't feel good, why keep it? And anyway, you wear it. You wear your stress. You wear your stress in your face. You wear it in your bones, in your back, in your muscles. Your stress finds its way. It manifests in your biology. So that would be my number 6 advice. Do whatever it takes to free yourself from the stress and come home to peace. And so you might need to take a class or speak to somebody like me. I'm very good at releasing stress. It's my lifelong practice, actually. All right, so number 7. My number 7 is to take time during the week, ideally daily, to be still. To give yourself absolutely nothing whatsoever to do, but just to be still. Usually that means sitting. It could be laying down. I wouldn't want you to be falling asleep just because you're being still, because it's a little bit of a cop-out just between you and me and the doorpost. So my number 7 is giving yourself permission, carving out some time, and it doesn't have to be long, to be still. To just bring your attention to what it feels like to be sitting, supported by the chair, supported by the floor, held and embraced by the air, and just coming home to the gift and the grace of your own breathing, the natural ebb and flow of your own breathing, and just observe, just feel what it is to be yourself. It's enough. It's enough. But in that stillness, sometimes other things can take place. And you can always ask, your divine creator to sit with you while you do that. You don't have to do that on your own. And so, if you're thinking, oh, well, I don't really have time, I'm a busy person. I'll throw you a bone and say, okay, we'll start with 3 minutes. It's not really where I would have you stay. I don't think it's enough, honestly, but people have to start somewhere. If I had to give a time frame that would be enough, I would say 20 minutes to 30 minutes, 20 minutes to 40 minutes. But anyway, aim for 20 minutes. 20 minutes to, in a day, to just be still. But again, if that feels completely impossible for you, just start with 3 minutes, or start with 5 minutes, or start with 6 minutes, and then kind of add 2 minute increments or 3 minute increments until you get to 20 minutes. So number 7 is to be still, and that helps you with the releasing of the stress as well. That helps you with number 6. All right, so this is my Just a Conversation number 27, and if anybody shares my birthday, let me know in the comments, because that's always fun for me. And all right, so I will talk to you next time. A Sunday service is coming up on Sunday. It'll be the 9th service on the 9th of June. I love playing with these numbers. Okay, that's it for me.